So I want to take a second to go over this DEWALT FlexVolt 60 volt battery if you've never used one of these before. Now if you haven't already looked into a lot of the DEWALT tool lineups and what they've got available to offer now, they've got just about everything you can imagine under the sun. With that being said, they've actually got a whole nother line now of 60 volt tools that you can pick up that these batteries will actually come with if you buy them as a kit. But what if you've got 20 volt tools and you want to be able to run these batteries on those as well? That's where this FlexVolt kind of comes into place. Now as I already mentioned, you can pick these up with like a 60 volt tool like this circular saw here, which is how I actually got this battery when I purchased it. What's really nice about a 60 volt saw versus like maybe the comparison of a 20 volt saw is this thing's actually got a lot more power, and I immediately noticed the first time I used this that the thicker materials I usually struggled with an 18 or 20 volt saw like I've had in the past, this thing really gets through a lot quicker and easier with the help of these FlexVolt batteries. What's also nice about this as well is you're able to put these on like your 20 volt drills and things of that nature as well. Now something I want to go ahead and mention real quick because it kind of threw me for a loop when I first went to put this on. I want this thing slide on the battery. These belt clips right here actually get in the way and won't let you slide that on the battery. It's a pretty easy fix though. If you've got like a pair of channel locks or needle nose pliers, you can go in here and just kind of ever so slightly bend that back out of the way. And then that way that'll allow you to put that on your drill from there on out. Now I want to go over some disadvantages and advantages of these FlexVolt batteries and why you might want to consider purchasing these separately and or maybe just picking up maybe like your 20 volt 5 amp hour battery like I've got here. Now if you're using a tool like a circular saw or something that's a little bit on the heavier side, or even like a light that's going to be stationary and you're not going to be moving it around a lot, these bigger batteries are going to be an amazing add-on for that because you're going to get a lot more capacity out of this battery. The trade-off is, and why it's an advantage for like a stationary tool or a tool that's going to already kind of have some weight to it to begin with, is these batteries are actually really heavy. I mean, I'm talking maybe 2 to 3 times heavier than one of these 20 volt 5 amp hour batteries. So putting this on a drill like so, while it's going to give you a ton of power and you're going to use this drill for quite some time, the disadvantage is I wouldn't want to take this thing up on the roof with me. There's a lot of weight right here in my hand, and that's just something that's going to fatigue my arm that much quicker. But then again, if you've got something like this blower, which this is a 60 volt blower, but they do have the 20 volt version as well. Something that's longer like this, putting this battery on the back kind of acts as a counterweight, and this thing's got a really nice balance to it. And it's not going to fatigue your arm as quick. What I've come to find out as well, and I've seen some conflicting information on this at the same time, you do get a little bit of a power boost by putting this on like your 20 volt drill or like a 20 volt reciprocating saw, something of that nature. I don't know what it is. The FlexVolt's designed to knock it down to the 20 volt range anyways, but I've noticed that my tools perform better when I've got this 60 volt battery on my 20 volt tools than they do when I've got this typical 20 volt batteries. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know if it's just me or not, but I will swear to you that every 20 volt DEWALT tool that I've got seems to run and perform better on these bigger FlexVolt batteries. So to kind of reiterate my point on this, while these batteries are extremely heavy, they've absolutely got a place in my shop where these things come in extremely handy. Number one, my 60 volt tools that I'm starting to acquire and put in my toolbox and add to my lineup, it's a requirement. So I'm going to be picking up some more of these batteries separately just to be able to run those tools as I pick those up. But on the same token, this is kind of going to be my last pick when it comes to running something like a drill, just because I don't want to have the extra weight in my hand while I'm trying to drill something, especially if I'm trying to keep that drill steady. That's the last thing I want, is added weight on that drill while I'm holding out in front of me. So make the determination as to whether this might be the right battery for you or not. And at the same time too, these 60 volts also come in different amp hour ratings as well. I tend to like the 9 amp hours. There are some 6 amp hour batteries out there on the market, as well as some 12 amp hours as well. Those 12s are going to be really good for stationary tools. So if you've got a table saw that works on the FlexVolt system, go with that 12 amp hour all day long. That's going to give you the best amount of runtime on that saw between charges. But if you're running things like these circular saws or that leaf blower I just showed you, the 9 amp hour, that's the sweet spot for me. And not to mention, if you pick these things up at the right time of the year, you can actually get pretty good deals on them. Other than that, that's all I've got for you on this. I hope that was somewhat helpful for you. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. We'll catch you guys on the next one.